The leaky leaker Drew Gibson himself comes out to expose one of the biggest problems in disc golf. I'm Swiss, as always, alongside me Jefferson, and we're both with the disc golf world. This episode is presented by Bad Billy Disc Golf, a firm believer that disc golf is all about enjoying yourself regardless of your sobriety. Bad Billy is committed to bringing that big disc energy. Elevate your style, elevate your game with Bad Billy Disc Golf. They offer everything from cool graphic tees for your casual rounds to stylish picks from their course to cocktails collection. Even with all the holes in my game, I can be stylish while I bogey on the course. Enjoy a 20% discount on your order at Bad Billy Disc Golf with code DGW2024. Explore more at the link below.
Drew kicked off the video stating he knew where Eagle was going. That didn't seem like a big deal when the world was already on fire from MVP making it official earlier in the day. But when you finally comprehend that Drew said it was January 4th in the beginning, you start to realize what he's getting at. He then goes on to explain that he's known about Eagle leaving Discmania for 2 weeks now. How did he know? From a friend who works at Discmania. Was it a fellow player, CEO, maybe even a warehouse worker? We aren't sure, but the problem that Drew is laying out is how and why things are getting leaked. Drew believes that if a company can't keep quiet, then he's under no obligation to not share what he knows. I mean, if the manufacturer didn't want people to know, then they wouldn't have told people, right? We haven't even made it to the 2-minute mark, and Drew already name drops Brody and Yuli. Wonder if he's salty about anything from the past. Nah, couldn't be. I don't know what the underlying animosity between these players is, but I can't wait till there's a take they disagree on that I actually give a shit about. Drew went on to say that similar to live sports, you can't spoil something that's available information to everyone. He believes if he hears the information from a credible source, he has the right to share. As long as someone doesn't tell him behind closed doors in a private setting, he thinks it's fair game. Drew then fires some strays at Prodigy for some reason.
I mean, Prodigy is famous for, or not famous. I don't know if they're famous for anything, really, but
for those who don't know how the information about Eagle joining MVP got into Drew's hands, it was as simple as a friend who worked at Discmania asked if he heard about the reports. Drew, unaware still, said no, and then the information was passed along to him like middle school gossip. Apparently he couldn't contain himself and texted Simon about it, who then replied with the simple praying emoji. I know some of our audience isn't as in tune with modern day language, so I'll give you a quick emoji lesson from a 22-year-old. The quote praying hands emoji can be used for multiple purposes while communicating. I'll get the least likely out of the way first. Most people don't know this, but it actually represents a high five, but I don't think Simon would have been thrilled about the leaky leaker knowing this valuable information. But what if Simon didn't know yet? Which could have meant the emoji representing Simon praying the Eagle was in fact going to MVP. But let's be real, no way Simon didn't know at this point, which leaves the last possibility I can think of. Simon was praying that Drew didn't go around telling people what he knew. Those are the possibilities I could think of. Comment below what you think Simon was trying to tell Drew.
Let me start off with Drew's right at many points in this video, even though it could not possibly have been presented in a worse way. And we're not just talking about a single poorly framed wide shot angle, or his Gucci flip-flops. Not sure if he wants to try and give the audience a behind the curtain reveal as much as he was trying to show he knew about Eagle signing well before the announcement, or bring a Cat Williams receipts to disc golf. And is it me or does he just seem hurt in this video a little also? Now, where he is right and what he leaves off as far as the true problem with disc golf's offseason are two different things. First, Drew is correct. He's not being paid by any parties to remain silent. For the entire professional community to know all the details of signings and where players are going, only for the unwritten rules and Wysocki's gatekeeping to expect silence until the player makes the announcement themselves? Should a player respect the request of another player to remain silent on the information? Certainly if it was shared directly and stated. However, if the rumors and word are spread in part is taken by a manufacturer and pro, then it is no longer on the player or person not to share. Instead, we have those connected to a professional atmosphere only to continually play ball for both the player and manufacturer and act like they don't know the truth, while also calling out all who don't conform to this norm. See Disc Golf TMZ and Leaky Leakers. Instead, those conforming pass off nuggets of truth as speculation that is repeated enough till it becomes truth for the entire community. So they could be the first to post, pat themselves on the back for being correct, wipe their brow from excellent detective work. Don't believe me? See every offseason since COVID. Let's see, 2021 Conrad's van at MVP, Ricky to Innova, obviously Kona, then Ricky again, this time with Dynamic. He's still in his feels about how that went down. Simon's speculation that all came true, AB's family rumors that were correct, and now both Gannon and Eagle this year. When has there truly been a surprise announcement? The community is sincerely supposed to believe Ultiworld, Staggered Stance, and the Disc Golf Guy, who all have Gannon and Eagle locked into their weekly podcasts already, didn't know of these moves as fact long before they're speculated it on their channels? Come on, Eagle admitted to throwing MVP at USDGC. Despite the vitriol and hate both Foundation and Tour Life get during every offseason since Ricky's announcement, they too are not absolved. They were put in their place and have behaved accordingly since also. We are supposed to honestly believe Yuli, who is tied to Discraft's front office, along with him being a host for Jomez, hasn't heard all these details already? Believe if we had a reputable source, we would share every detail we could get our hands on, unless stated otherwise. I would never give up our sources for that matter. Instead, with enough research and reading the tea leaves, Disc Golf World presents what's being discussed to form the assessment no different than Steve on Reddit. In layman's terms, we listen to whatever podcasts or channels with a pro attachment, and whatever manufacturer they state first as a rumored landing spot, we begin to believe as foregone truth. Because most aren't creative enough to list the future manufacturer second. Now, where Drew might have lost some is flipping the leaky leakers from player rumors to that of actual manufacturers. Drew feels that brands and competitors have created these leaks and speculations to purposely shape the conversation of the offseason in the direction they see fit, mostly against their competition. However, with no other brands announcing player announcements at or around most of the biggest signees every offseason for multiple years now, there are too few examples similar to the infamous Matty O Prodigy Westside announcements everyone, including Drew, wants to use. Instead, these brands continually seem to be working more in unison every year than separately in a competitive manner. Shouldn't be surprising either, with limited sponsors, even less agent representations, and so few premier contracts yearly. All these players are partnering up and sharing details so everyone can line up these announcement dates, especially as these announcements are getting more complicated with scheduled and attached subsequent pre-order Tour Series disc releases. And now, even the commemorative departure disc dump. Neither party wants that overlap competition for the community's dollars, and most importantly, everyone's getting a piece of that pie. Is it not weird to anybody that Gannon's announcement was this Saturday, a day after Discmania's Eagle sell-off ended, only for a follow-up Eagle announcement with an MVP disc release themselves? Some might argue that it would make sense for Discmania and MVP to partner up on their timeline. Yet Antela and the official Discraft announcements have not happened within the past 2 weeks either, and no disc releases outside the acting parties for that matter. Just a coincidence though, right? Don't even try and hit us with a Clash tone, as there was no release, just strategic marketing to use the offseason for the hype. It's the partnership among the manufacturers that is bad for disc golf, because if they're not fighting each other for the community's dollars, that's when the sport loses on innovation, marketing, and most importantly, competitive pricing. This is the overarching problem that disc golf will have. Ownership has already been condensed with the House of Disc acquisitions, and the rest of the remaining big players allow less room for competition. So where are the leaks coming from then?
Funny enough, Eagle went on Smashbox podcast to explain himself. He would go on to say that the announcement video was leaked due to him making the video unlisted, and since it was already in a public playlist, someone being creepy on his page stumbled upon it. Super random, but a fun story. The only thing funnier could have been a 3 a.m. birthday casino run where a buddy dropped some hints.
Below the manufacturers, you have every employee, distributor, and shop owner that are impacted by the decisions above, whether it's in production plans, supply ordering, disc availability, and sales overall, among countless other examples. One can believe that these players see the early preparations of these announcements and either communicate to the community their observations, or more likely, frequently ask the right people for speculation or confirmation of these rumors. Then, like Drew admits, these parties fuel most of this speculation throughout the entire community. Now, Drew might be lumping all these players under the manufacturer in his video. However, they seem to be acting more independently than a coordinated effort from the people who make decisions surrounding the brand.
Could you tell that Swiss has been wanting to give this rant for a while? If anything, he should be thanking Drew for the opportunity to let him talk your ear off. But this is what Eagle had to say on the issue.
Of course I didn't want anybody leaking it, because there's a lot of resting on the whole deal for all parties involved. So I think having it out in the public when it's not supposed to be isn't a good thing. But I also see how many disc golf podcasts, they get their content from things along those lines. So I'm like in the middle ground.
That was only half of the video that Drew posted in the Gucci flip-flops. If you thought Drew Gibson wasn't going to throw some hot takes in here, you'd be wrong. Him claiming this is not a game changer is weird, because it was. But the three-headed goat comment might be a stretch. To call them a powerhouse, I do agree, and it'd be dumb for me to say Discraft isn't the other powerhouse. Now, the take that I want to know your guys' opinion on. What is the more popular shot in disc golf? Philo's Albatross, or the Holy Shot? I don't want to hear what you guys have to say, because Drew's still torn on this one. Sorry, Philo, but Conrad Shot not only got a full documentary on it, but the commemorative disc outsold MVP's previous disc sales from the past 3 years. And no, I'm not letting the Smash Bros line slide either. We are not about to pretend the Crush Boys weren't the most popular duo in disc golf, and I'm excited to see what the Gyro Gentlemen can do. Still a working title. At the end of the day, Drew might be getting some hate, but I don't think what he's saying is too far off. Hype is real, and the more authentic excitement we can create, the better. But when someone starts to manufacture it through information they are withholding from the public, yet still speculating for views, is where I question. Here at the Disc Golf World, we don't need a timer to tell us when to stop talking. We just stop when we have nothing more valuable to say. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. It's the easiest way to support the Disc Golf World. Oh, and if you want to hear everything you need to know about Ian McMahon signing to MVP, check out the video right here.